Your leader has said that he is not including Catholic system when he describes it faith-based as being segregationist. And at no point have I ever heard him say that he defends the Catholic system.
Well, I've heard him on several occasions when he's given speeches across the province. He's obviously proud of his own background. The fact of the matter is, I said it today in the Ottawa Citizen, the Catholic system here in Ottawa, as you know, is a well-run school board, well-run system. It is a public system. Mr. Tory wants to bring in a subsidy program for private schools. These schools that are faith-based that he's talking about, whether they're Jewish or Muslim or Hindu or whatever, are based on people paying tuition.
I don't follow you on the subsidization. People who attend the Jewish school here in Ottawa pay full public school taxes.
That's correct.
So they are subsidizing the public school board.
No, but the public school board is open to all the citizens, and those individuals who send their children to private school are entirely within their right to do that. Mm-hmm. But we don't think that taxpayers' dollars should be going to subsidize private schools, whether it's a private school like Upper Canada College.
Well, what's the difference between a Jew and a Catholic? It's the faith-based schools. Why would you grant this right to Catholics but not to Jews?
Well, the right was granted under the British North America Act. I wasn't around back in 1860.
Well, it was denied up until Bill Davis came along, as you know, at the high school level.
No, Catholic education was part of the Constitution up till elementary school, when Mr. Davis extended it to high school.
To high school.
But the challenge, I guess.
So let me ask you this then, Jim: is faith-based funding for Catholics? Is it covered under the Constitution and the high school years?
No, it isn't.
So your statement that it's guaranteed by the Constitution isn't entirely accurate.
Well, it's guaranteed up until grade 8, and Mr. Davis did extend it. That's correct. What is the real cost? Where's the money going? He's indicated that all of the teachers in these faith-based schools will have to come up to provincial-wide standards. There's a cost involved in that.
But surely, Jim, surely
$500 million. It would be.
Well, I don't know where you got that figure.
It's the per grant student grant.
But Jim,
times 53,000.
Isn't it true that if all of those students in all of those private schools were to appear tomorrow on the doorstep of the public school system, you'd have to admit them all and pay for them all?
Yes, but is that going to happen? No. We think
so they're doing you a favor so they are benefiting the public school board. That's not very fair. My point is, if they showed up at the public school, which they have every right to do, you'd have to pay that $500 million.
Lowell, that's not going to happen, regardless of whether there's faith-based funding or not.
Well, what are you going to do if the faith-based schools say, you know what, you people aren't being fair. We are going to show up tomorrow at the public schools, and you've got to teach them. You're going to have to come up with that money, Jim.
Well, and we would welcome them into the public system because their parents are paying taxes.
So then why not put them in the public system by simply giving them public funding and treat them like everybody else?
Well, that's Mr. Tory's plan to subsidize faith-based schools. We're not going to go down that route. You asked me where the $500 million figure came from. There are 53,000 kids in Ontario.
So that must be the amount of money that those kids are now pouring into the public system for which they get no service.
No, that's the cost that the Ministry of Education puts on each student in the system.
No, but if that's what it would cost, obviously that's the amount of money that they are now pouring into the public system and getting no service for it. But you know, Jim, I'm a little surprised at the Liberals, because I always considered your party to be, and you always claim to be, the progressive party. This country is changing. This province is changing. The Liberals and the NDP have always claimed that they are in favor of diversity, etc., etc. I don't understand why, when it comes to diversity in the educational system, you suddenly grind your heels in. I don't understand that.
Well, I think it's based on the fact for 8 years we had chaos in the classroom. You have to admit, Lowell, it was not a pleasant time in education. The school board was fired. There were
that's got nothing to do with faith-based education.
No, it does.
It's one of the reasons.
No, let me just continue for a moment. It has to do with the fact, do we want to go and create even more turmoil in the public education system?
Why would it create turmoil to simply say to Jews who have their own school and they're paying an extra $8,000 or $9,000 while subsidizing the public school board, listen, we're going to bring you into the public fold here?
Well, for the simple reason that, first of all, it's you're subsidizing a private entity.
It's only private because you say it should be private. They don't want to be private. They'd like to be part of the public system. I'd like you, Jim, you're a decent guy, I'd like you to explain to Rabbi Boca why his people are not afforded the same rights as Catholics.
Well, again, it goes back to the British North America Act, and people might want to scoff at that and say, well, you know, that's just the Constitution. Well, it is the Constitution. That's the foundation of our country, and that was
but
a
very
condition
very clearly,
Upper and Lower Canada coming into Confederation.
There are 6 provinces, though, in this country, Jim, that do fully fund faith-based schools.
Right, and there are 4 that don't.
Yeah, and we're one of the 4.
But my point,
kind of tragic.
We are starting to see test scores going up. We're starting to see dropout rates going down. We're starting to see some peace and stability. We haven't had one teacher strike in 4 years.
Then why
people are actually excied about going back into the public system, and I think that's great. That's good for society.
You're taking us off the issue here, though. I want to hear it from you, Jim. Do you consider faith-based Catholic schools as segregationist?
No, I consider Catholic schools as part of the public system, funded by taxpayers, and under our party, we will continue to fund the public system and the separate school system.
And you can give me that guarantee.
As has been the case since 1867.
No, it hasn't been.
Well, no, up until grade 8 it has.
Well, but
it was Mr. Tory's old boss, Bill Davis, that extended the funding to the Catholic system.
And was that the right thing to do?
70s.
Was that the right thing to do, in your opinion?
It was, yes.
Thank you very much, Jim Watson, Liberal MPP, Ottawa, West-Nepean. We'll be back. CFR. Now, if you notice, Jim Watson in my interview on several occasions talked about constitutional guarantees. But those constitutional guarantees only continue up to grade 8. As you know, it's fairly recent that, in fact, public funding was extended to Catholics into the high school level. So could this be what we're looking at, a suspension, then, of public funding for I don't know. All I'm telling you is that Roman Catholics and those who care about the system had better stay very, very alert here.